ready to go? If you'd all please rise and honor our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Conway?
Here.
Mr. Gignac?
Here.
Mr. Leary? Ms. Martin?
Here.
Mayor Murphy?
Here.
Ms. Ross Sikowicz?
Here.
Ms. Scott?
Here.
6 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. On the minutes, we have approval of the minutes of the regularly scheduled meeting of Wednesday, June 19th, 2013 for acceptance. So moved by Mr. Conway, seconded by Ms. Ross Sikowicz. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Under permission to enter, we have permission to enter for July 10th, 2013. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, there is a, to Aramac Educational Services, LLC, in the amount of $3,334,978 to provide management services to the Lowell Public Schools for the operation of the district's school food service program during the 2013-2014 school year. Funding will be provided by the School Department Food Service Revolving Fund.
Thank you. Any discussion? Entertain a motion. Motion to approve by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Ross Sikowicz. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac?
Yes.
Mr. Leary? Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Ross Sikowicz?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Thank you. Next, under memorials, we have G. Douglas Golden, retired Lowell High School custodian and father of the former school committee member Timothy Golden. If you'd all please rise in a moment of silence in darkened chambers. Next, we have motions. Mr. Conway, if you'd take the chair.
First motion by Mayor Patrick Murphy and Robert Gignac, requests the superintendent pursue planning for a 5-year high school with assistance through the district capacity project. No second needed. Mayor Patrick Murphy on the motion, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is an idea that's been talked about before. Mr. Paul Georges is here. He has brought it up before. I know Mr. Samaras, the headmaster at the high school, previously had talked about it as well. And it's something that we've discussed with the superintendent, and Mr. Gignac is the alternate member of district capacity project. And I think it's certainly a project worth pursuing and trying to see this come to fruition in the next couple of years.
Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Conway. The project, the district capacity project, is, I'm actually in the process of writing the proposal. We are on the list to continue that project for next year. And I have been in a good deal of conversation with Headmaster Martin about his interest in continuing that project, to have a really good idea, and that professional facilitator, which we already have made the promise. Mr. Georges and I went to a training to make sure that they know we're on board for next year. So that proposal will be in. We will establish a team, and that team's going to have to be members of this committee, Mr. Gignac, Mr. Georges, Mayor Murphy, myself, Mr. Georges, but also will be added the high school staff will be added. So we're on board, and the proposal I'm sending to our facilitator, but it's all set, and we'll give you progress reports on that. So thank you, Mayor Murphy, for your motion.
Mayor Murphy?
Yeah, I would just ask that for a suspension of the rules to allow Mr. Georges just to speak briefly on the driving rationale behind this.
Motion to suspend the rules by Mr. Gignac, second by Ms. Kristen Ross-Sikowicz. All in favor? All opposed? So voted. Mr. Georges.
Yeah, I just want to explain a little bit about the sort of idea behind this. I mean, I've been a teacher at the high school almost 30 years. Obviously, some kids don't come as well prepared as we would like them to be. And that difficulty creates sort of a pattern of failure that we're trying to intervene. Nothing breeds success like success. So I think there's two groups of kids that would really benefit from the idea of a 5-year program. One would be the kids that you could customize a pace if they don't have the language skills perhaps or math skills. So you could customize the pace for them so that their first impression at the high school is they can be successful with hard work and diligence rather than feeling often overwhelmed. The second group would be the kids that would avail themselves of a 5-year program with permission from their parents so that they could take a lot of dual enrollment courses perhaps and avail themselves of all the electives that come in the Lowell school system, particularly at Lowell High School being such a large school. Very often kids go through a 4-year program at the high school and they didn't have the opportunity to do some of the things that they would have liked, whether it's TV production, artwork, whatever, music, other things that they could have done because they couldn't fit it in their schedule. So it's flexibility is what you're really trying to build into this so that it accommodates the kids that need some restructured, to bring up the skills that they have to be successful, to make sure that they're successful from the get-go at the high school rather than having a large number of kids that repeat. And then gives the parents additional flexibility in determining what's best for their kid. For instance, in 8th grade guidance counselors and so on, or in our high school guidance counselors could identify kids that they know are going to struggle. We know what the signs are, and consequently modify their curriculum so it's 5 years. And it also gives an opportunity, too, where some kids, again, if they took some of the advanced placement programs and so on that aren't necessarily available through a 4-year program, could really pad their resume if you want, to try to get into some of the top ranked schools. So I think it gives the flexibility that we'd really like to see. We have a great high school with lots of capacity because it's so large. This gives more kids more opportunity to avail themselves of that capacity, working with their parents and through some kind of guided schedule that's not necessarily the traditional 4-year. I think years ago, Mr. Conway, you remember that there was almost like a PG course at the high school that helped a lot of kids do that. It was almost like a prep year. So this 5-year program makes that flexibility, and I'm interested in working with the mayor and Mr. Gignac and the superintendent to see what we could come up with. I think it would be a real plus for the kids in the city of Lowell. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Georges. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor? All opposed? So voted. Next motion by Mayor Patrick Murphy, request superintendent work with city administration to identify challenges to safely walk to school and report on a plan to increase the number of student walkers through the use of chaperone walking buses. Mayor Patrick Murphy on the motion. A second on that by Ms. Martin. Mayor Patrick Murphy on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Some time ago, I had brought a motion forward to the City Council to have the administration look at identifying some infrastructural changes, improvements to areas around business districts, but also around schools, so that you can improve the likelihood that people would walk to school and to do it in a more safe manner. But some other motions have been made on this floor to look at ways that we can increase the number of walkers and sort of rearrange bus schedules to allow for people that for busing districts that would allow for schools that you could walk to. But I think it's important that we look at the people that, the students that are able to walk to school right now that don't, to develop some programming in that respect. And to do it in a safe way, I think would probably involve the use of chaperones, whether it be from the school itself or from, parents within the school district, to lead the students, as you see a number of times around City Hall. You've got the Hellenic American Academy that has these walking buses through the downtown, and so I think it's something that's worth looking at. That you actually start to change the culture and work within what you have now, which is a number of people that could be walking, but aren't for some reason.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy. Ms. Martin?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to say, as the administration begins their research on this, I know that in the past, I believe Mr. Dakota was involved in one of these efforts, and I can't remember the name of it. Okay. And I also know that there is currently a grant held by, I believe, the Lowell Community Health Center, of which it's called Mass in Motion. My understanding is that walking to school is a key component of that. I don't know how they're implementing it, but it may be a partnership opportunity that we'd be able to take advantage of in helping this kind of come to fruition.
Thank you, Ms. Martin. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Martin. There were grants, Safe Routes to School, Lincoln School. I remember at the time, going with kids. But that whole idea of how you formalize that would be interesting to look into, and Mr. Dakota was pivotal in that particular initiative, but it's good to know. I'm meeting with the health center, so it's good to know, so thank you.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Mr. Gignac?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, just a few months ago, I had the pleasure of attending a press conference at the McAuliffe School where they received new sidewalks to promote safe walking to school. So I know that the Mass DOT, I don't know if they still do, but they did have money available to address sidewalks in the immediate area of schools to make them accessible for student walkers as well as bicycles and stuff like that. And I know at the McAuliffe, it's been very successful. I do believe they have some walking buses over there, and it's worked out really well. So I think that's a good idea to try to float that around the city. Thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Mayor Murphy?
Thank you. The Safe Routes to School program is something the city has used, but it's very limited in its funding. And so, as I've asked the city to look at, making these improvements citywide, certainly having the programming in place to take full advantage of that, I think, is what I'm asking for here, to fill in those gaps that the Safe Routes to Schools doesn't or hasn't filled. And I hope to see a plan that might be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor? All opposed? So voted. Next on the motions, by Mayor Patrick Murphy, request superintendent work with city administration on developing plan for satellite libraries in schools to further efforts to build literacy in the community. Second by Mr. Gignac. Mayor Murphy on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is something I had also brought to the City Council, perhaps less successfully last night. But I do think it's important. We have an opportunity with a grant through the library construction grants that are given by the state to make some capital improvements. But that doesn't necessarily have to be to the main facility here. It could be to an entirely new facility or expanding other facilities within the city. So I think it makes sense to look at the school libraries that haven't been able to be funded to the fullest extent over the last several years, to see how we can improve those facilities by tying in with this grant for the main library. And in, you know, building on, again, as Ms. Martin suggested, that there are oftentimes other efforts going on through the community. You know, certainly we've had presentations here that really address efforts to build literacy in the community, and tying into those, I think, makes sense.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor? All opposed? So voted.
Next motion by Ms. Connie Martin requests that the school committee approve 3 additional early release days in December, February, and June to make the total number of 9 early release days for the 2013-2014 school year calendar for the purpose of improved communication and the strategic implementation of the new teacher evaluation instrument as previously discussed at the Personnel Subcommittee meeting of May 2nd, 2013, seconded by Ms. Rosikowicz. Ms. Martin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. You know, I'll begin by saying I appreciate my colleagues' indulgence to bring this up again for our discussion. I will be quite honest, I see this as a last-ditch effort certainly on my part, in the hopes that we would be able to put this in place in time for next year. We've discussed it a number of different times. I absolutely understand and respect some concerns that my colleagues may have about adding these days. I just wanted to take, as I said, this one last opportunity to try and promote the idea that beginning in September, we're going to have a one-time only opportunity to implement over the course of the school year one of the most dramatically changed efforts in our district in many, many years. And I honestly believe that the successful implementation of this new evaluation protocol for teachers is going to be just a seminal moment for our district. It is going to have a huge impact on the way we do business. I am optimistic that it's going to have a huge positive impact, but I do have real concerns about the time we're investing in this, the monies we're investing in this, and making sure that we're able to roll it out in this first year effectively, so that we don't spend more time than necessary trying to fix something. If we can do it appropriately in the first year, I really honestly believe it will have just a huge impact on the quality of education in our city. And in my mind, looking for the additional 3 days to give us a full complement of professional development opportunities for our principals, I think is certainly well worth the investment. Again, I ask my colleagues to consider it as an opportunity for our district. And I would only say, you know, I would reference once again that as we talked with principals collectively as a group before, I've had other conversations certainly since then. It is the single thing that principals have asked for moving forward in the next year, that the professional development time to effectively implement this, this evaluation system, this wholly new evaluation system. It is what they have told us and told our kind of greater educational community that is a single thing that the success of this project will turn on. So again, I understand we've had the conversation. I appreciate my colleagues allowing me to bring it up. I promise this one last time. And if we could perhaps, move forward so that we could look at a full complement of training opportunities for next school year, I think it would be a great move for our district. Thank you.
Ms. Rosikowicz.
Okay, thank you very much. So my only question is, so if we were to approve the 9 early release days for this coming year, would we keep in place those 9 early release days in years following? So is there intention to roll that back to, say, 6, to what it previously was, or are we going to keep these 9 days going forward to infinitum?
Well, as the committee knows, you vote annually on the calendars, so this will be up for approval, of course, every year. There is always the need for time. It is really especially essential this particular year. As we're rolling out this initiative, I would tell you that I don't know what's going to be on everybody's plates in the future, so I would be lying if I said, no, we're going back to 6. I would have to know where we are next year, but the committee themselves will be involved in the progress as we go. And I think it's very important. The evaluation system, the reflective practice, we want to promote the excellence in teaching that is the core of the work in our district, needs to be reported out on. So what I intend on doing is to make sure the committee knows through the curriculum subcommittee meeting how we're using that release time, what we're doing as a result, and those agendas are possible, so you can see that. So I would not honestly be able to tell you what's going to happen in 14, but at this particular time, it is a really very important decision, and when we get to that point, we can amend as needed. Lowell's a district that just has come into professional learning time within the last maybe 3 years. We have our neighbors that Lexington weekly, regular working class towns at least monthly. And so, I would say that it could be amended as the committee wishes in the future.
Okay, well, and I appreciate that, and I'm certainly going to support the motion, because I think that allowing additional days specifically geared with the purpose of rolling out our evaluation system is terrific. But I still sit on the side that our kids need more time in the classroom with their teachers. So, at the cost of, that lesser time in the classroom with the aim of getting a better quality of professional in the classroom, I'm willing to go with it. Thank you.
Ms. Scott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a couple questions. The number of the hours in the day that are required by the state to count as a full day, are we at the maximum amount of time? It seems that my children are only out about 2 hours on the half day, which I don't know how productive that is for the staff to have such a short period of time.
Thank you, Ms. Scott. According to the legal boundaries, you can only have 1 day throughout the school year where you can have less than a half day that will count. So that's Thanksgiving Day, where you can have a shorter day and people come in. So what we have to do, we have to serve lunch, which counts as the full day, and so we are going through the minimum half, 3 hours, and then we release the children, but that's by statute, so it counts as one of the 180 days. You can do that, so that's why that's the maximum time we can allow, so the day counts at that particular issue for the release time. So we have to do the 3 days, gives us the additional 2. We also add on the contractual meeting times in buildings, staff meeting times. So in the buildings, they'll have the 2 hours, but then the principals, and we've done this the last 2 years, have added their contractual monthly staff meetings that they have with their staff, so that extends it at least the hours that we have of the day left, and then that additional hour, so they have at least minimum of 3 maximum hours. So we go according to what could be counted as a day in the state.
Okay, so it's the minimum. We're doing the minimum number of hours that are allowed right now.
For the day, we have enough. The first thing that we count through, especially since through Mrs. Murphy's office, we always are looking at, are we meeting hours? We exceed the mandatory hours for the year by quite a bit. We have the flexibility. I'm just talking about that particular day. You have to at least be there a certain amount of time that you have the lunch served. So we do annually in every single one of our schools. We've checked that. We've checked it as alternative schools, our high school, that we have the mandated instruction time that we need to for the annually. So we're still within guidelines with these extra time allotments.
Okay, so I certainly heard during the personnel subcommittee meeting from the principals that they needed the time for this evaluation tool. So my only other question that I would ask is for December, February, June, the timing for these half-days, will they be around low attendance times, like the Friday before vacation or the day before the last day of school? Is there any consideration for when students aren't normally there?
we've had the history of, we were looking at doing it the same week per, the same day per month, except for November, because as you all know, we approved Election Day off, so we're having no release time in November. It's enough time off in that particular month. So we have made it, it was actually, we've made it Wednesdays. We did not move it towards any other day in the past. We just kept it stable to the, I guess it was the third Wednesday. It's one of those. But we were going to keep that consistently so parents could kind of have that synergy. It's going to be the third Wednesday every month. And we sent a you all know, connected message the week ahead so people will remember, but we don't have it connected to before any other time. We've kind of done it stable like that. Doesn't mean it has to remain that way, just that's what has been past practice.
Thank you.
Mr. Conway and then Ms. Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I certainly respect the passion of my colleague in this area. I do appreciate it, and I think that it's something that she puts a great argument forward to take a look at this, and it is a great opportunity, and I think, as Madam Superintendent said too, it's the fact that it's the first year, and I think we try to ensure success in this area. However, and I realize that the principals say that this is an extremely important component going forward. The only thing I would like to do is after the first year, and I think it certainly was brought up by Ms. Kristen Ross-Sikowicz, to take a look at that and reevaluate it, and get the input from the principals, the feedback, but also to get the input from the teachers. I think that's extremely important too. So again, I would support this, but I would like to evaluate this, and again, not just one group, but all the people that are involved. I'd like to get the feedback and see what their thinking on this was. Thank you.
Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy. I think that that is an excellent idea, and we should instill a pre and a post survey. So to take this on, to kind of know what our practitioners are thinking about it, you know, the real story. So we'll think about that whole survey piece, so we'll know from all levels of the organization that we get some feedback. So thank you.
Any further discussion on the motion? Ms.
If I
Martin.
could only just say, I absolutely appreciate my colleague's support, and as Mr. Conway and Ms. Ross-Sikowicz both mentioned, I think we should set this up as with a sunset. It's not so much that we'd need to, when we come to the calendar next year, I think there should not be the assumption that we'll be at 9. We should come in at the 6 that have already been approved for FY 14-15. If there are additional issues, if we'd be able to make that decision at that point. I just want to ensure that we don't set this up as, from here in perpetuity. We recognize this is a one-year investment, and should we choose to make it again, then that would be the decision of that committee, if that would. But thank you all very much.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac?
No.
Mr. Leary? Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Ross-Sikowicz?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
4 yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent. Approved.
Thank you. Sometimes it pays to be stubborn. Subcommittee reports, personnel report, and approval of the minutes of the meeting of Tuesday, July 9th, 2013. Ms. Martin.
Thank you very much. We did host our personnel subcommittee meeting last evening at 7 o'clock. Present from the subcommittee were myself, Mr. Conway, and Ms. Scott. Other committee members who attended were Mr. Leary and Ms. Ross-Sikowicz. From the school department, we had Superintendent Franco and Deputy Superintendent Jay Lang. We did have a conversation regarding the development of hiring protocol for the district as a whole. It's been certainly a long-standing conversation that we've been having around this issue, and I think there's certainly been the intent from this committee to go through this process and come up with something that is transparent, that is as consistent as possible, and that will afford our system, at the end of the day, the most qualified and talented individuals. working throughout the district at every level and in every endeavor. So we did receive some information from the administration. It is currently being reviewed by the members of the subcommittee. Kind of the key points, I think, would be we're focused on administration positions right now. Basically, all the positions that fall within the Lowell School Administrators Union contract, as well as about 4 or 5 different unaffiliated positions. What the administration had done was go through, break these down into the different categories so that we'd be looking at kind of those top-level positions requiring the full, 8-member panel, kind of really implementing the system that's been in place, then looking at the school site, which again have been in place for quite some time, but hoping to, the discussion I think we're having is how we need to normalize them, and ensure consistency and fairness across the district. So that will be an ongoing conversation. And then again, so all of those positions were divided into the different kind of criteria based on the level, then based on where they were really cited, so that school-based positions would really would go through the process with a school-based team, district-based would go through with a district-based team, and then we did recognize that there are some kind of quasi-positions that are both school and district-based, and would require some additional attention. So it was, materials were presented, the committee did receive them, so that we will be reviewing. The plan in place at this point is to poll the subcommittee. Certainly, we'd be informing the full committee as well, but we'd be reconvening in the August timeframe, probably the, second or third week, based on availability, so that hopefully when we enter into September, the subcommittee will be able to make a recommendation to the full committee to finalize the protocol. Second topic was posting of a revised position, the coordinator of leadership, support, and development. This is another situation. We had an existing position that has been kind of revamped to recognize the importance of the evaluation process that we're going to be going through this year. So this is taking, again, what was an existing position within our teaching academy and bringing it in so that this position would be a support for the principals as they go through this process, this first-time evaluation process. It is money that is coming from grant funding, Race to the Top funding, that can exclusively be spent on professional development supports. So over the course of years, we've had a lot of conversations around this. I, myself, am always a proponent of, I would prefer to bring someone on full-time, someone that we own body and soul, so that we can use them to support the specific professional development needs, but in the most broad sense. So I think as we move forward, I think that this will hopefully be a very important position. Again, the materials were received. The subcommittee took them under advisement with an understanding that we will revisit this in the August timeframe, and then be able to hopefully move forward fairly quickly, because it is going to be critically important that we get this person on board in time for the launch of this. So I would submit that as a report of progress.
Motion to accept the report as a report of progress, so moved by Ms. Rosikowicz, seconded by Ms. Scott. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have personnel approval of the minutes of the meeting of Monday, June 17th, 2013.
I had actually
Already reported.
reported. It was a great report. Everyone loved it. So these are just the written minutes.
I'd entertain then a motion. Motion to accept and place on file by Mr. Gignac, seconded by Ms. Scott. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. So we have the finance report of the finance subcommittee of Tuesday, July 9th, 2013. Mr. Leary is not here. Anyone that was here wishing to tell us what happened? Ms. Scott.
I will do that. The Finance Subcommittee meeting met on Tuesday, July 9th. Present were the subcommittee members, Mr. James Leary, Connie Martin, and myself. Other members present included Kristen Rosikowicz, and school personnel were Jean Franco and Jay Lang. The sole item on the agenda was the food service RFP and a recommendation. Some of the highlights included that Sodexo and Aramark were the highly advantageous bidders. but Aramark guaranteed a $740,000 return yearly, and Sodexo guaranteed $600,000. We received a recommendation to enter into a one-year contract with 2 one-year extensions. Some other highlights were that we will be receiving free breakfast from Aramark for all K-8 schools, capital improvements for $300,000 to make Lowell High School into a restaurant-style cafeteria will be part of the contract, and $50,000 for Pawtucketville, Riley, and the Washington School and capital improvements, and also a $50,000 yearly grant for community engagement to community partners. A motion was made by Connie Martin and seconded by James Leary to recommend to the full school committee that a contract for the operation and management of the Lowell Public Schools food service program during the 2013-2014 school year in the amount of $3,334,958 be awarded to Aramark.
Thank you. And of course, we already accepted that recommendation by our previous vote. So,
Yes.
entertain a motion to
Approve.
accept the report as a report of progress. So moved by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Gignac. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have reports of the superintendent. First is the partnership between UMass Lowell and Lowell High School, the M2D2 Massachusetts Medical Device Medical Center. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, I just wanted to make all aware of the facility on Suffolk Ave at UMass Lowell campus, which is the M2D2 Medical Development Center. The reason why I'm bringing this to your attention and for your reading when you have nothing else to read is how exciting this particular project is and what they're working on. The UMass Lowell organization has inventors and scientists coming together to come with the next generation of inventions for medical use. It was riveting, really. And the reason why we're there, I was there with Headmaster Brian Martin, Assistant Superintendent Abrams, and Science and Social Studies Coordinator Marty Cohn, because they would like to offer us an internship for our students at Lowell High School. And we have begun those kind of conversations. We will come up with some kind of agreement. But while we were there, for those of us who may in fact be of age to be thinking of the future, healthcare and whatnot, there's some initiatives that are amazing. Artificial bone for hip replacement, a way to look at your cardiologist will get an email if you're having an episode, and he'll text you or call you and tell you to sit down. Amazing. We just saw a few of the initiatives that are there, but I wanted to make you aware of the beginning of the partnerships that we hope to open up at Lowell High School, and this was something that we anticipate participating in. They will have this partnership, and we'll have our students be able to be involved in these kind of initiatives. But it was really intriguing. I thought you might enjoy the reading, so that's why I included it.
Thank you. Any discussion on this report? Entertain a motion? Motion by Mr. Gignac to accept, second by Ms. Martin. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have a response to Mr. Robert Gignac's motion of February 6, 2013 regarding boys gymnastics. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to inform the entire committee about the fact that after much discussion and much feedback and pushback from a number of constituencies, that MIA, boys gymnastics, has been reinstated. And so your letter and all of the responses we made from this committee, I'm sure helped. So thank you very much. I just wanted to make sure your motion was officially answered.
Thank you. Any discussion on this report? Motion to accept the report as a report of progress. So moved by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Gignac. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have a response to Mr. David Conway's motion of May 1st, 2013 regarding neighborhood groups. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Mayor, in May, Mr. Conway put a motion on the floor that asked me to look into feasibility of sending regular communication to designated Lowell neighborhood groups. Communication should include information on our school's district-wide initiatives, upcoming events, important dates to remember, and other information pertaining to our schools. So I just wanted to officially inform the committee that right away, we started sending my monthly newsletters to the neighborhood groups. Also, I sent a directive to my principals to make sure that their newsletters from the neighborhood were going directly to their particular neighborhood groups. And also looking towards expanding, we expanded everything to Facebook and Twitter so that those communications could go that way also. So that was the response to that particular motion, but we look towards making sure we have more information out there, and the website being a source also for our growths, for your comments.
Mr. Gignac, excuse me, Mr. Conway.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to thank Madam Superintendent for her efforts in handling this situation, because I did receive some inquiries from neighborhood groups that they'd like to get as much information as possible so that they could pass it on to their membership. And I have had positive feedback. And I think it's important that we get as much information out there as possible, especially I think it would be helpful during that, the budget meetings, because we've talked about that, trying to get the information throughout the entire community. This is just another way of doing it. And I think that, I think the whole idea of sending that update of your newsletter, I think, is extremely important. I think also, you know, as you were talking here, there was one other thing that entered my mind. I wonder if you could add this, Madam Superintendent, because I know a lot of parents are involved with the sports, and when the information comes from Mr. DeProfio about upcoming games and events and so forth, it might be a good idea to get that information into the neighborhoods too, because I think that they would, really respect that. Thank you very much, Madam Superintendent. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Entertain a motion to accept the report as report of progress. So moved by Ms. Rosikowicz, seconded by Ms. Scott. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have the end-of-year discipline report. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the beginning of several excellent reports by Assistant Superintendent Ann Murphy, ending the year with news. So the first one is the district discipline report, which gives you all of the regular information that we collect on a daily basis for the district. This has, on the first page, the different infractions for this particular year. And then if you turn to the second page, you will see some longitudinal information over time that there's a 5-year comparison of long-term suspension expulsion, as well as district discipline relative to arrests for you to be aware of.
Thank you. Any discussion on this report? Entertain a motion to accept the report. So moved by Mr. Gignac, seconded by Ms. Scott. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have the end-of-year health services report. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, and I will ask Ms. Murphy to make any comments, but this is a comprehensive report. As you know, the Office of Student Services provides many integral services to our youth. These are some of the projects that have taken place over time. So here you're going to see our community mobile oral health services, a project that's been ongoing, and the data for that particular piece over time. We also have had an eye on-site mobile clinic, what's happened with that initiative and that collaboration, as well as the nursing services for field trips, where years ago, our children were not able to go on field trips, but with targeted focus with our nurses. Many more children have been able to because they need nursing services, and I asked Ms. Murphy if she wants to point out any details of importance for us.
Ms. Murphy?
Thank you, Mayor Murphy. I would like to note that with the New England Eye on Site Mobile Clinic, this year 64 students received not only a prescription for lenses, but also a free pair of glasses. We had 80 students within our schools that received an eye exam, and of those 80, 54 needed glasses. And so through foundation monies that are tied to the New England College of Optometry, we were able to get our students free glasses as well as a prescription so that their insurance could also pay for, give them a pair of glasses, one to keep at home and one to keep at school. The other piece of data that I would like you to be aware of is that in the district, we have 1,207 students on individualized health care plans. And that information comes from the school nursing program through the health department. And that this year, there were 12,985 visits to the school nurse. That does not include the data for the Lowell Community Health Center at Lowell High School or the Lowell Community Health Center at the Stocklosa School. So the health services have been just a huge integral part of our students' learning.
Thank you. Any discussion on the report? Entertain a motion to accept the report as a report of progress. So moved by Mr. Conway, seconded by Ms. Ross Sikowicz. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have the end-of-year backpack food program. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Murphy. This is a good news report that talks about our collaborations through the Office of Special Programs, Coordinator Karen Rocheleau, Aramac Corporation, the Greater Boston Food Bank, and the Merrimack Valley Food Bank. We were able to provide healthy snacks and nutritious food to over 575 students through the Backpack Food Program. There is additional information of children who have gotten this in the data on the food banks and surveys that were conducted by our families, which 75 return surveys for a parent survey is not bad. I don't know how many were spent, but we never really get a critical mass, so we thought that was good, that was well received. And then all the work that Aramac has done with us, the extra food they gave us through MCAS, the dinner service, which was actually new this year within the last few months, and also that the summer food feeding program will be free of charge to any young person under the age of 18. And if you have any comments or questions, or if Ms. Murphy wants to add any additional information, I welcome it.
Any discussion on this report? Entertain a motion to accept the report as a report of progress. So moved by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Gignac. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have the end-of-year bullying prevention and intervention report. Madam Superintendent.
Yes. The end of the year bullying prevention intervention talks about the incidents of bullying and the new programming that occurs, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Murphy to explain it only because her detailed information would be much more succinct than mine.
So this year, we had 116 reported investigations. My office keeps track of the investigations. Of those, 30 were found to have been substantiated cases of bullying. In all instances, whether the cases were substantiated or not, plans were developed to address the infractions of the students. Safety plans were put together. Sometimes it was suspensions or reassignment of classes. Social incidents we've also been keeping track of, and with social incidents, which could include aggression, defiance, non-compliance. Again, we document them, those incidents, we investigate them, and then we address them through a safety plan. This year, new programming included, we had over 300 middle and high school students attend the Stand Up to Bullying 2012 Community Coalition Conference, which was at the Songus Arena. It was a wonderful opportunity for our students. They were part of, a group of 5,000 students that really tried to tackle the issue of bullying and how they, as students, were really empowered to make a difference. It was a wonderful program. Our community forum this year was hosted by the Butler School, and it was titled Bullying, Cyberbullying, and Youth Depression, and nationally recognized speaker John Halligan presented to the parents. He did a wonderful presentation to the parents and really spoke about the lessons he learned from his family tragedy with his son. The following morning, Mr. Halligan spoke to all the students in the Butler School in grades 6 through 8. He gave a wonderful presentation and really highlighted for students, the role of the instigator and the bystander, and the really more positive role that they should be taking. Very, very well received again. And the last new initiative this year was the pilot program for the Positive Behavioral Intervention System. So we selected 4 schools to be part of the PBIS model: the Butler, the Robinson, the Wang, and the Freshman Academy. I'm very fortunate to have Dr. George Sugai out of the University of Connecticut provide the professional development to the school leadership teams. Next year, we will be adding the Lowell High School Career Academy to the PBIS. They will incorporate the PBIS model into their program. And so the report just gives you the update of what's been happening. All of our schools continue with their bullying prevention curriculum. They all are responsible for implementing the 5 tenets of the district plan, which are professional development, the curriculum, the direct instruction, the collaboration with the families, and the reporting and investigating.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Conway?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, Assistant Superintendent Murphy, I want to thank you for this report. And it certainly sounds like there's a lot of exciting things that are happening as far as the bullying prevention is concerned. And certainly it's something that's it's an ongoing problem, and it's a constant battle to try to combat this problem, because if we can attack it at the younger age, hopefully we can cut down the problems in adulthood. The question I have here is that you mentioned 116 reported investigations. How does that compare with the last 2 or 3 years? Has it gone up or down or what?
Last year, we had 111 reported investigations, and of those, 54 were found to be substantiated. So the investigations are comparable. We are finding, though, that there's been a slight decrease in actual substantiation of bullying.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Entertain a motion to accept this report of progress. So moved by Mr. Conway, seconded by Mr. Gignac. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have the district attendance team. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Murphy. This is an initiative the district attendance team has been going on between the juvenile court and the Department of Children and Families, DCF. We've held weekly attendance team meetings throughout the school year. And again, I'm going to ask Mrs. Murphy to report on the collaboration.
Thank you. So this is the 5th year of our district attendance team. And what happens is each week, the team will meet they have about 8 15-minute meetings. There are representatives from the Lowell Juvenile Court, the Department of Children and Families, an administrator from the Office of Student Support Services, the attendance office, and the school administration. And they invite the parents to come to the meeting, and they specifically look at students who have significant attendance issues. This past year, we had 186 families that were invited to the district attendance team. Of those 186 families, 87% of the students that were discussed improved their attendance. Now, their attendance improved anywhere from 2 to 44%, but there was significant improvement. We know that kindergarten is not mandatory, but we certainly want to encourage all parents, when they enroll their children in kindergarten, we stress the importance of coming to school every single day. And what we did at the end of last school year was the students that we targeted who had been in our kindergarten classes, who had significant attendance issues, we sent letters home to them during the summer. And we sent letters home to them stressing the importance of being in school every day. And I'm happy to say of those 99 students, 89 of the 99 letters that were sent home, those students improved their attendance this year in the first grade. It's a considerable commitment on the part of the Student Services Office and the Department of Children and Families and the Lowell Juvenile Court, but we certainly believe that it has had a significant impact on the attendance, especially with our younger children.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mr. Gignac?
Thank you, Mayor Murphy. Also, thank you, Assistant Superintendent Murphy, for bringing this to our attention. I'm fortunate enough to serve on the Lowell Youth Development Collaborative, and the superintendent joined me at the last meeting last month, and actually this was brought up in how DCF and the juvenile court find this process so successful. And actually the superintendent brought up the fact that each of the community partners involved in this process recognize the same families. They all work with the same families, and it's important that we do address them at the young age in kindergarten to hope that they will improve their attendance and stay committed to school. But also, there's only so many slots that we have, and it's very important that the kids that are in these slots are taking full advantage of it, and oftentimes it's the parents at home that need to step up to the plate. So this is just another way that has proven to be effective in making parents and students knowledgeable that school is very important. So thank you for this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Entertain a motion to accept the report as a report of progress. So moved by Ms. Rosikowicz, seconded by Ms. Martin. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have the home visiting program. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. At my first Student Support Services meeting as superintendent, the committee members approved home visiting and looking into how important visiting homes and intercultural understanding and teachers and parents meeting in their homes after school would be. Mrs. Murphy has provided a very comprehensive report here, but the survey results of how important and how moving home visiting has become in the academic progress of children, which is why we do everything. That's the reason why we breathe. Has been really substantially noted. And so I'd like to ask Mrs. Murphy again to talk about this report, because there's some really very pertinent data in this particular report.
Thank you. The first year of the program, 19 schools were involved with the program. And what we found was that it was for some schools it was a challenge to get parents to agree to participate in the program and have the home visitors come out to their homes. When we looked at the data after last year, our recommendation was to cut that down to 11 schools. Well, really 10 schools, and then we added in the Rogers School. So we had 11 schools this year. And the way the program works is that the first visit is really establishing a relationship between the family and the school, and talking with parents about what their goals and aspirations are for their child. The second visit focuses on the child's progress in school and the developmental activities that can be done at home. We bring materials and books out to the families, work with the parents on how to work with their children at home. The third visit is really a celebration at the end of the year of how successful the program was. And so this year, with the 11 schools, we had 116 families that were visited. And of the 116 families, we sent out surveys, and we received 56 parent surveys were returned. And of the 56, 100% of the surveys from the parents, they felt that the home visiting program was very helpful, and 98% believed that the parent-teacher relationship had improved. I think that's really significant information as we're looking to move forward with this. 57% of the parents felt that they had more contact with the school. We saw an increase involvement with parents and their students in homework. 80% saw that their progress with their child. We also surveyed the teachers to get their perspective in terms of if they really felt that this was a worthwhile program. And of the 90 teachers surveyed, 100% felt that the first home visit was valuable to them, with 85% reporting that the second home visit was valuable. I think this is really good statistic to be looking at. I've included the full surveys for you so that you could see each of the specific categories. Going forward, next year, we will again be using Race to the Top money to finish out the last of the 3 years. We'll continue with the 11 schools. We're hoping to train 2 additional staff from each school, so we'll have 22 additional staff members trained in how to do the interviewing and understanding the cultural differences. And the team is also going to be looking and start searching for some grant monies, because we know the sustainability is an issue. And Race to the Top will be ending, and we feel that this is a real worthwhile program, but we do need to find some grant monies to tap into to continue with it beyond next year.
Thank you. Ms. Rossignol and then Ms. Martin.
I just had one question with regard to academic improvement. Were we able to determine whether it was a 10% improvement, 20, percentile improvement in their grades? And of those surveys that had indicated that there was no improvement academically, were we then able to dial down further on those particular children, perhaps going forward, to provide more supports and more tutoring or more whatever they need to prop up their academic achievements?
May I? Thank you. In terms of how much academic improvement was noted, what that progress was, we do not have that data. However, I can say that the surveys that were returned back to the teachers from the parents, any of the surveys where the parents felt that there wasn't progress, that they didn't feel that the gains were made that they had hoped, those teachers followed up with the parents, and that information is being shared with the next year's teacher, so that there will be some continuity, and to really reach out to those parents and see how we can make some improvement.
Ms. Martin?
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And I'd add my thanks to Assistant Superintendent Murphy for this report, particularly because this has certainly been an effort that started, I think, on a very small scale, and I'm encouraged even to have seen it grown to this point in just this very short period. I think what I'm struck most by is we have struggled as a district, and we are not unique in this, but we have struggled with parent involvement forever. Trying to offer our parents an entry point, a way for them to get invested and involved in their child's school, more importantly in their child's education. And I think what's really key about this, when you look at 100% as your as your achievement for parents reporting that this was helpful, it's hard to argue with that. And I have to say, of all the many, many efforts we have employed in this district, and I think we need to do that, need to continue to try new things, but this is one where we can actually look at some very concrete results for a fair, a significant investment, but not enormous. And certainly something that with some investigation and some research for some additional grant funding and other ways that we might support this effort, if we're talking about something that results in a 57% reporting by parents that they feel more connected to the school, I would not be able to point at any other event or any other activity that we're doing in the district that has that kind of impact. And I would certainly say that it's great information to get right now, and that I certainly hope as we move forward and we're talking about parental involvement as one of our absolutes in terms of goals that we set for ourselves, that this success is going to be something that we really need to be replicating across the district. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this report? Entertain a motion to accept the report as a report of progress. So moved by Ms. Scott, seconded by Ms. Rossignol. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? So voted. Next, we have the tutoring center update. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Murphy. This past year, there was a change in the way we delivered tutoring services to children who are unable to attend school. We had, instead of sending tutors out to location, we had the Rogers School cafeteria transformed into an after-school academic center for young people. I will, last time, Ann, ask you to report out on this, but I also want everybody to know, not only did we have better services, more comprehensive services to our children, but we also saved about $30,000 in the process of bringing teachers together to look at the instructional outcomes for young people. So this was a brainchild of the Director of Special Education, Sheila O'Brien, her team, a new special education director, but former middle school administrator Jennifer McChrystal, and Joanne Martin, elementary special educator administrator, as well as Assistant Superintendent Murphy, to bring these services in a comprehensive fashion and give those children a feeling of what it's like to come to school when they are not so easily able to do so. So I'm going to ask Mrs. Murphy to just to highlight the parts of this report that she would like to.
Ms.
Thank you.
Murphy, you just don't want to retire, do you?
Yes, I do. I do. Yes, I do. Just to highlight some key points for you. You may remember last year when we came before the Student Support Services Subcommittee with this proposal, our biggest concern was the number of students who were out on home tutoring and were out for long periods of time. The tutors would go to the student's house, and they were out week after week, month after month. And we were really concerned with the quality of the tutors. We always use our certified teachers from the district, but certainly not everyone has the same expertise in all subject matters. So we struggled with getting a teacher who could teach trigonometry. Asking the English teacher to teach trigonometry was quite challenging. And so this proposal came forth, and thankfully you had approved it. And so I'm happy to say after the first year, I can report that we have fewer students who have been out on tutoring. The amount of time that the students are out on tutoring is shorter. We've had improved communication with the doctors who write out the medical forms to keep students out of school. We have had better communication with the schools that help with the transition, getting students back, and the quality of the instruction has significantly improved because at the center we have certified teachers in English, math, social studies, and science, and they have that content knowledge. And as Superintendent Franco said, a bonus is that we've saved over $28,000 with the program. So we're hoping that we will continue to see success with it next year. The students come into the cafeteria by the back of the building. They're not in through the administrative offices at all. They get off the buses and they come right in the back door. They're there for 2 hours, Monday through Thursday, and we've seen great success with it.
Thank you. Any further discussion on this report? Entertain a motion to accept the report as a report of progress. So moved by Mr. Gignac, seconded by Ms. Rosikowicz. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have the personnel report. Madam Superintendent.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Murphy. This is the latest updated information regarding retirements, recognitions, and promotions of our staff for your review.
Move to approve by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Rosikowicz. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have the list of eligible teachers.
Again, your monthly report of the most recent list of eligible teachers in our system.
Motion to accept is reported progress by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Rosikowicz. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have a response to Mr. James Leary's motion of April 17th, 2013, regarding the Carol M. White PE program grant. Madam Superintendent.
Oops. Thank you, Mayor Murphy. Here we have an updated information about the PE grant provided by Assistant Superintendent Claire Abrams, and I don't want her to feel discriminated against, so I'm going to let her speak about it.
Thank you very much. Yes, I wanted to get back to this particular motion on the Carol White PEP grant, something that I am very enthusiastic about moving forward with. I think it will be a wonderful opportunity for the schools and the community if we're able to pull this all together. With the hiring of the new grant writer that we have coming into the district, one of the important questions that I was concerned of when I asked her, do you have any experience with writing these PEP grants? And she responded that she has written 7 in the past and received all of them for the districts. So I think we'll be in a good place once this woman is on board to move forward and get our team together and hopefully receive one of these grants that will bring health and wellness to our students and to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on this report? Entertaining a motion to accept the report as report of progress, so moved by Ms. Rosikowicz, seconded by Mr. Conway. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Lastly, we have a quarterly report on motions. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mayor Murphy. This is the time of the year when we report out on our quarterly motions. So we have all of the administration has gone through the motions under their area of expertise, and we have marked the history of the motions, and if in fact they're completed, for your review. If there are any you would like for us to continue, please let us know. And any comments are appreciated.
Ms. Martin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just feel I need to comment on finally seeing completed next to my motion, which was put forth by myself and my former colleague here on the school committee, Mr. Leahy. The date is August 20th, 2003. So it's been a great 10 years, and I'm very excited to see completed next to that. Again, perhaps that explains in part my fixation with the new evaluation system that we're putting in place, because I have waited a very, very long time for it. So my thanks to the administration, to our union members, that we are really able to kind of mark this as completed and start the hard work of actually implementing it. But it seemed like kind of historical event that warranted mention. Thank you.
Mr. Conway.
Yeah, just through you to the superintendent, the second one where it says sports-themed schools, I think that where it says there it's completed, I want to make sure that, it's not totally completed. I mean, that's something that's ongoing, and I know that this committee is...
You want to make sure that it's completed.
I know that.
But
I want to make sure that, this is the first stage, so that it's not an over and done deal. That we still have more work to do on that. It's something it's ongoing. That's perfectly clear, right?
Madam Superintendent.
Yes, Mr. Conway, but if you would like me to keep it on the list, I will do so. If you want us to move it to athletics, to report out on it regularly, if you want a system for it, that's absolutely fine. I just know that the first stage, when we worked on wrestling, tennis, and what's the third one?
Field hockey.
Field hockey, everybody knows.
That's
Yay,
right.
see? Field hockey, that we do absolutely have a plan for expanding those particular schools in our middle schools and this particular year. But if you want to keep it on this list of motions, I will do so. If you want to move it to another committee, we can do that also.
I just wanted to, just a clarification that we are still working on that. It's not just totally completed, because this is something that, it doesn't go back quite as far as Ms. Martin's motion, but it does go back a few years. And finally, we have put it forward, and I want to thank Assistant Superintendent Claire Abrams for helping put that whole package together so that we have some success. And I think that the parents and the students, I think are going to really benefit. They're going to be opened up to completely different sports that they haven't been until they get to the high school level. So I thank the people for the efforts on that. And I also want to thank the three individuals too on that. That was Lisa Cada, Jennifer Kerry, and Tim Sheehan, correct?
Kevin,
I'm sorry, Kevin Sheehan.
and also Martha Cohn, the Science and Social Studies Coordinator.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any further discussion? Entertaining a motion to accept the report as a report of progress, so moved by Ms. Martin, seconded by Mr. Gignac. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. Next, we have new business, permission to post for a literacy specialist at the Moody School and Washington Schools. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you. Mr. Mayor, this is to make the committee aware of a change in staffing that was requested through both of the principals. The principals in both of the Washington and the Moody Elementary Schools had asked for a change in their structure. There was a part-time social worker in each one of the buildings. That social worker position had been empty, or because the person took a position in the student services operation. And so when the two principals, they came to me separately, I'm doing end of the year evaluations, and so they both contacted me and really were trying to move towards and looking at their data. They really wanted to have full-time literacy specialists and take the half-time piece where you had half-time in each building. So their request to me as superintendent was to honor that request, to have a full-time literacy teacher and for them to maintain their full-time content literacy. We absolutely have met with Assistant Superintendent Durkin and Murphy to talk about what would the plan be to make sure that there would be enough support for the social work piece. And I just need to post those two positions as full-time because there was one shared position. So I wanted you to make the committee to be aware of that, and if there are any concerns or comments about that particular switch.
Any discussion? I'd entertain a motion. Motion to approve by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Rosikowicz. Roll call, please.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac?
Yes.
Mr. Leary? Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Rosikowicz?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Next, we have convention and conference request. The Lowell High School football team requests permission to attend a preseason football camp in Moulton Borough, New Hampshire, from Wednesday, August 21st through Saturday, August 24th, 2013. The following coaching staff will be supervising: John Florence and Andrew Siafa, Joe Harris, David Casey, Ben Christopher, Dan Graham, Tom Thornton, James Dillon, David Duquette, Gideon Cavallo, and Matt Lee. An athletic trainer will also accompany the team. The cost of $9,000 for camp and transportation will be paid by the Friends of Lowell High School Football Committee through the Lowell High Alumni and Football Golf Tournament funds. Transportation costs of approximately $1,900 and additional insurance coverage at a cost of approximately $600 will be paid by the athletic department account. What's the wish of the committee? Move to approve by Mr. Gignac, seconded by Mr. Conway. Roll call, please.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Gignac?
Yes.
Mr. Leary? Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes.
Ms. Rosikowicz?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
6 yeas, 1 absent, approved.
Thank you. And before we adjourn, Ms. Martin.
Thank you very much. If I could, Mr. Mayor, make a point of personal privilege, I would like to take a moment, and I realize I'm taking my life in my hands right now, but I would like to take a moment to offer certainly my thanks to Assistant Superintendent Murphy, who is retiring. This is her final meeting with us, and I just want to, in my most briefest way, say that working with you has been a great pleasure, and I cannot even begin to calculate the impact that you've had on the quality of education in our city. We are amazingly lucky to have had you in the many positions that you've held, and most particularly in this last leadership position. I really shudder to think where we would be without your commitment, your talent, and your willingness to share it with all of us. So I promise I'd be really quick. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Conway?
Yes, thank you. Just very briefly, Ms. Murphy, I think we go back quite a few years. When I take a look at some of these reports and I see the attendance report, I immediately start to shiver, making sure that my numbers were correct and they were on time. And I think, if I recall, you did make a couple calls to me that they weren't ready. So I do apologize retroactively. But I also want to say that you certainly have been respected by everyone in the school. Climate, teachers, administrators, certainly the school committee. So again, I want to thank you for all your years of dedication and support. And I think that you've done a wonderful job. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Somebody who might have been on that report, Mr. Gignac?
Very funny, Mr. Mayor. I too would like to thank Assistant Superintendent Murphy for all of the work that you have done. It's been a pleasure working with you for about a year and a half. We worked very closely together on the opiate abuse programs that we had last year, and you really stepped up to the plate. Everything that we could possibly think of, you went through with it, and I couldn't think of a better person to take this role. And I congratulate you on your retirement, and the district is truly at a loss. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Scott?
Thank you. I'd also like to thank you for your professional manner in the last year and a half. And it's just really evident that you truly have cared about the students in this district, and you will be very missed. Thank you.
Madam Superintendent?
Yes, I just want to say, Ann, that from the trenches, being next to you, beside you, around you, covering all the special areas of expertise has been amazing. You are one of the best, and to have worked with you has been a joy in many different capacities, and I'm not going to go on, but I wish you health, happiness, unbelievable fun, and I want everybody to hear that laugh. That will be missed at our table every single Monday morning. So thank you so much, Ann. Special education children for the first years benefited from your expertise, and then you moving up the ladder has hit us all, so thank you.
Ms. Ross-Hickridge?
Since everybody else chimed in, I guess I have to. But you know what? I echo my colleagues' sentiments. You have been terrific to work with, a great professional, and you truly not only respect the profession, but you respect our kids, which is very important. Thank you.
Assistant Superintendent Abrams?
I've known Ann for a long time. Back at the old, not that we're old, but the old McAvenue School, when I first started working with Ann. She was a pleasure to work with then. And over the past, I guess almost 2 years now, sitting next to you and working with you has been a true pleasure, and I wish you many years of happiness in your retirement.
And Assistant Superintendent Murphy?
Thank you. Now I get to speak. And thank you all for your very kind words and your support, certainly throughout the years. If you will indulge me for a few moments. The accomplishments of the Student Support Services Office, they're not mine. They're the result of an incredible, incredible team of professionals who work tirelessly on behalf of the children of Lowell. It has been my great fortune to work with this team, a team that always, always works so hard to make me look good. Believe me, it's not my work, it's theirs. So I offer my sincere gratitude, and you'll have to bear with me, to Pat Murphy-Painchode and Terry O'Neill, who are second to none in the field of early childhood education. Thank you for your sharing your knowledge with me and helping me understand the world of early childhood, because it certainly was never mine. To Sheila O'Brien, Jennifer McChrystal, Joanne Martin, the special education leadership team, whose high expectations for all students have set the bar for future teams. Your expertise and commitment to improving the quality of services for students is most commendable. Thank you to Attorney Mike Ortiz and Attorney Jay Moshikanti, whose insights and guidance have kept me out of some very sticky situations. I could always count on you to keep me on the straight and narrow. Much appreciation to John Dakota, who struggles alongside me every day to maintain equitable education across the district. As the city's demographics shift, I know John will work diligently to ensure the rights of all are protected. My sincere gratitude to Carolyn Marshalow, whose determination to repair the broken communication between the Lowell Public Schools and the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has been immeasurable. All of our extended time programs are all the result of her hard work. Thank you for always being ready and willing to assist others. You're an example for all. The transition from Fred Abbasi to Betty McCannon as the Director of Adult Education has been seamless thanks to their dedication and commitment to the program. They are truly exceptional. And to the core team of specialists at the Student Support Services Office, Phil Curtin, Margot Ferrick, Fred McCosker, and Carol Rossio. The exemplary, extraordinary work you do each and every day to support 26 schools absolutely amazes me. 4 people, 26 schools. You are the first responders for every crisis, meltdown, conflict that arises in the district, and you address each situation with a calmness and confidence that ensures resolution. Every school in the district relies on your guidance and support, and you have never let them down. Thank you for elevating our office to the exemplar that it is today. And to Mary Sheehan, I'm getting a little emotional here, Mary, my heartfelt gratitude for keeping it all going. You are the axle that keeps the wheels turning, the glue that keeps us together, the center of it all. You are the constant that keeps the office grounded. I absolutely could not have managed the last 7 years without you. I will always be indebted to you for the strength and confidence you had in me. Thank you. Now, 35 years ago, while working in a private school for students with multiple disabilities, former Deputy Superintendent Doug Sullivan encouraged me to work in the public schools. Now, back in the 1970s, and I realize some of you may not have been born then, some up here too may not have been born. The world of special education was just beginning, and few students with disabilities were educated in the public schools. Doug thought that I could make a difference in that setting and that I could have an impact. I am forever grateful for his wisdom and his encouragement. There have been times over the past 7 years when facing challenging situations, I would feel Doug's presence and steady guidance. I know that he's looking down on us tonight with a smile on his face and a sense of pride. I am immensely proud to be part of a family of educators, whether working as a teacher, an administrator, a school secretary, custodian, speech pathologist, audiologist, or superintendent. Every contribution to the educational system is valued. That's my family. We discuss educational reforms, current trends, new strategies, and the impact of the latest regulations. Quite simply, we talk education. It is an integral part of our lives. Education is the core of what we do and who we are. I am so very proud of that family. I have been blessed with parents who taught me the value of hard work and commitment, whether it was cleaning the bedroom, shoveling snow, or my first teaching position. I learned the importance of working through a task until completion. They taught me to have patience and persistence. Whatever task was taken on, it was to be done to its fullest. That accolades and celebrations, while nice, were unnecessary. That the value of the work was knowing that the job was well done and to the best you were capable of doing. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for instilling in me that work ethic. And finally, to my dear husband and son, who's back there, my 2 Kevins, you have been my greatest supporters, always having the utmost confidence in me, even when I had my doubts. You helped me to maintain my sanity when I was sure that I lost it. I know it has not been always easy, but this journey could never have happened without you. I love you both very much. And so the reins of the Student Support Services Office have been turned over to Assistant Superintendent Durkin. I know you will continue the work that has been started by this incredible team that I was so fortunate to be part of. I wish you and the students and staff of the Lowell Public Schools all the very best. Thank you for the journey.
And Ms. Murphy, if I could offer very quickly, on behalf of the city, our thanks for all the work you've done over these years, and really that we wish you all the best with your family and friends over the many, many more. And at that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Mr. Gignac, seconded by Ms. Murphy and Mr. Conway. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, so voted. We stand adjourned.